Søren Kierkegaard, a towering name in the history of philosophy, was born in 1813 in Copenhagen, Denmark. From a young age, he was raised in a contemplative atmosphere. His father, a deeply philosophical man, was not only his first teacher, but also the spark that ignited Kierkegaard's lifelong intellectual journey. On long, quiet evenings at home, father and son would engage in deep conversations about God, life, death, and existential solitude. These were not mere dialogues between a parent and a child, but the first seeds of a future philosopher. As he grew up, Kierkegaard enrolled at the University of Copenhagen to study philosophy and theology. Yet the deeper he delved into the academic systems of his time, the more disillusioned he became. Grand theories, though complex and majestic, lacked what he considered essential, the depth of real human experience. They were abstract, cold, and detached from the pain and struggle of everyday life. This very disappointment became the starting point of Kierkegaard's philosophy, a philosophy not rooted in lecture halls but in lived moments, where one must face freedom, fear, and choices no one else can make for us. And from here, he emerged as a pioneer of modern existentialism, a courageous voice in a world filled with doubt. In Kierkegaard's stream of thought, angst, or existential anxiety, is a central concept, marking a turning point in how humans perceive themselves. Unlike everyday worry or medically defined anxiety disorders, angst is a distinct condition. It is a rootless unease, an internal trembling when one stands before absolute freedom and with it absolute responsibility. Kierkegaard believed that the moment we realize we have the power to choose how to live, which path to take, what values to uphold, anxiety is born. For freedom always comes with the burden of consequence. There is no one else to blame, no one else to decide for us. And in that very place we tremble, not because of something specific, but because of the sheer uncertainty of existence. To Kierkegaard, angst is existence whispering to us, urging us to awaken. It is not merely discomfort, but a deeply philosophical response to the reality that life offers no guarantees, no maps, and no one who can live it in our place. But if we don't run from angst, if we face it and move forward within it, then anxiety becomes a doorway, leading to self-understanding, to the courage of authenticity, and ultimately to the transformation of the soul. Søren Kierkegaard once said, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom." A short phrase, yet it holds the entire depth of human existence. We are born with a miraculous gift, the freedom to choose. But that gift does not come without a price. In every moment, we are granted the right to decide who we will become, what we will live for, and which way to go among countless paths. Yet it is this very freedom that causes us to stagger. For every choice is tied to the unknown, to unpredictable outcomes, and to a responsibility no one else can shoulder. Anxiety, according to Kierkegaard, is not just the fear of failure or getting hurt. It is the dizziness of an awakened mind, one that realizes it is entirely free and also entirely alone in defining the meaning of its life. We long for certainty, a safe road, a guarantee, a clear map, but life offers none of that. Instead, it gives us a fog-covered path, where each step may lead to either mistake or miracle. It is in the space between our longing for safety and the reality of uncertainty that anxiety arises. But Kierkegaard did not see this as weakness. He believed that anxiety is the signal of a soul awakening, ready to begin the real journey of life, where there are no guarantees, but there is freedom, courage, and the return to one's true self. To Søren Kierkegaard, anxiety was not an enemy. On the contrary, it was a silent companion, always present at life's most important crossroads. He did not see anxiety as a sign of weakness, but as a sacred signal, pointing to moments of potential change and personal growth. Anxiety only arises when we are free to choose, and it is within that freedom that character is forged and revealed. We can be afraid and flee, living a safe but empty life. Or we can listen to our unease, walk through it, and transform it into the fire that drives our self-discovery. According to Kierkegaard, how we respond to anxiety determines whether our life becomes meaningful or falls into despair. If we dare to face it, dare to act, anxiety becomes a mirror, reflecting our deepest desires. But if we allow it to paralyze us, we retreat from authentic life, trapped in cycles of what-ifs and if-onlys. Therefore, anxiety should not be silenced. It must be understood. For beneath the unease lies a call to live more truthfully, more deeply, and more bravely. Wherever there is anxiety, there too is the opportunity to become the highest version of ourselves. When one falls into existential anxiety, Kierkegaard not only invites us to face it, but also shows us a path through, living with passion. In a chaotic world where everything can change, passion is the flame that keeps the soul alive. It might be love, art, a calling, or a cause worth sacrificing for. But for Kierkegaard, not every passion is redemptive. The most important thing is that the passion must be rooted in subjective truth, what genuinely matters to us, not what society praises or others expect. Subjective truth cannot be measured or proven, yet it has the power to stir the deepest layers of our being. When we live for something that feels true within, passion becomes the bridge between anxiety and meaning. It doesn't eliminate anxiety, but helps us move through it with courage and clarity. Kierkegaard once wrote, "Find a truth that is true for you, a truth for which you are willing to live and die." That sentence is more than a message. It is a compass for anyone feeling lost. For wherever there is true passion, there is a path back to oneself. In a world full of noise, expectations, and rigid standards, Søren Kierkegaard calls us to take the most important journey of all, finding a truth that is truly our own. He wrote, "The essential thing is to find a truth which is true for me, the idea for which I am willing to live and die. This truth is not found in books or external validation. It is an inner truth, one that makes our hearts tremble, our eyes light up, and our resolve grow unshakable." Kierkegaard believed that objective right and wrong, what the majority accepts as correct, can often distance us from our authentic selves. We learn to live for approval, to fit into molds, and in doing so, we lose our inner voice. One day, we may wake up successful, yet feel completely hollow. Subjective truth is not selfishness. It is the courage to recognize what truly matters to us and to live fully for it, even if it means going against the crowd, being misunderstood, or standing alone. For only by living with our own truth can we touch the real depth of existence. Every meaning, every passion, every real life begins there. Once a person finds their own truth, Kierkegaard believes one final step remains, and it is the greatest challenge of all, the leap of faith. He calls it a leap, not a calculated step, not a logical proof, but a jump into the unknown. A moment where we place our full trust in what feels right, meaningful, and real, though it cannot be proven, socially validated, or guaranteed. This leap is only made by courageous souls. For to live by one's own truth is often to be alone, to face doubt, even pain. There will be moments of deep questioning. Am I wrong? Is what I believe really worth it? But in that very space of uncertainty, true faith, rooted not in evidence but in inner conviction, is born. Kierkegaard believed, only when we dare to step into the unknown can we truly live, no longer bound by fear or conformity. Faith, then, is no longer just a religious idea, but a way of being, living for what we love, understand, and feel is right, even if no one else joins us. For sometimes the deepest truths are not found in certainty, but in the courage to walk forward, even when everything is unclear. In today's world, we have countless ways to avoid anxiety. Endless entertainment, overloaded schedules, scrolling through social media, all serve as numbing agents, helping us momentarily forget the emptiness, unease, or disorientation we feel inside. But Kierkegaard warns, the more we run from anxiety, the further we drift from ourselves. Suppressed fears do not disappear, they fester quietly, making life shallow and robbing us of the chance for real growth. Anxiety is not the enemy. It is a signal from the soul, a quiet voice urging us to pause, to listen, to ask, what am I really living for? Am I on the right path? Kierkegaard believed, only by courageously facing anxiety can we reclaim mastery over our lives. It is the moment we say no to fear's control and instead begin a dialogue with our unease, to understand it, learn from it, and move through it. True life is not found in the absence of anxiety, but in the willingness to live with it, to act despite uncertainty. For it is in our most vulnerable, trembling moments that we reach truth, maturity, and true freedom. Kierkegaard believed that to truly live, we need more than busyness, we need reflection. In a world of speed and noise, he invites us to turn inward, to spend time listening to the small, honest voice within. Introspection, or inner contemplation, is not escapism. It is the bravest act, the act of pausing to ask, who am I? What do I truly want? What am I afraid of? What values make my life meaningful? When practiced sincerely, this self-examination peels away the layers of conditioning placed on us by society and ourselves. We see that some dreams aren't ours, some fears were learned, and some things we thought important are mere illusions. Reflection helps us reorient. It may not draw a perfect map, but it lights the dark paths, allowing us to walk with greater clarity and peace. When we know ourselves, we can live more honestly, not for others, not by force, but to the rhythm of our own heart and soul. For as Kierkegaard says, the journey of self-growth doesn't begin outside. It begins the moment we dare to sit alone with ourselves. In Kierkegaard's philosophy, anxiety is not something to be removed, but an essential part of awakening. It is a sign that we are truly alive, feeling, thinking, and standing at the threshold of real choices. Existential anxiety is the price of freedom. When we realize we can choose to live authentically or superficially, to move forward or retreat, anxiety appears as a quiet shadow. But Kierkegaard doesn't teach us to flee from that shadow. He invites us to walk with it, live with it, and use it as fuel. Because in uncertainty, when nothing is guaranteed, our choices carry personal meaning. And in those trembling moments, we are given the chance to reach wholeness, not a perfect life, but one that is honest and deeply human. Kierkegaard reminds us, life will never be entirely safe or free from fear, but instead of waiting for a perfect moment that will never come, we must act right in the heart of uncertainty. Follow what makes your heart tremble, even when no promise lies ahead. For it is in anxiety that we awaken, and it is only by choosing to live with it that we begin to walk the path toward true greatness.